GirlPod. What's up, GirlPod? She's in GirlPod too.
You thought doubling season was bad? What about tripling season, bitch? Like,
What's up, y'all? I'm Sarah.
and I'm Sandwich.
And we're
GirlPod.
We're super stoked to be here today. We are doing our first ever deck tech video. We are going to be teching Breya Ethereum Shaper, which is super exciting. Artifacts are 100% my thing through and through. I love artifacts. I love anything to do with artifacts and historic spells. So I'm super excited that we are teching this today. Just a quick shout out, if you want to support the channel directly, you can check out our Patreon, which is linked below. It will help us continue to pod together and bring in content on all platforms like we have been doing. We have a sponsor! Head over to jankmats.com/girlpodmtg and use code girlpodmtg for 10% off your order if you would like a playmat or any accessories to do with the playmat, as well as using code GIRLPOD on CoolStuffInc.com for 5% off. Again, it's just another way to directly support the girls and keep us podding. Alright, without further ado, we are going to jump right into Breya, and let's see how this goes. Okay, so I know we talked creatures first, but before we dive in, let's just talk about Breya, and like, I know you kind of put together a list, and I kind of put together a list, so let's see how the lists look together, like in terms of what we're trying to do with Breya, and go from there. So
I'm actually really excited about this because you're right. Artifacts are absolutely your thing, and I've actually really never played with any of them. I've played with like the Soul Ring is pretty much as far as I've gone. So I just pulled from a lot of lists and a couple of combo lists, and I'm really excited to like, these are random, and then to have like your expertise come and like hone everything together. So I'm not exactly sure. Right now I think it's mostly just build up a bunch of as many tokens as I can is pretty much where I got, but I'm excited to like put mine against your list where it's all refined and like has a plan.
okay, cool. I'm stoked. So I did something similar where it's artifact creation. I did focus a lot on cost reduction, and I also focused a lot on card draw, because I think those were two big things in my Urza artifact deck that I kind of missed on whenever I was upgrading it. So I'm excited to kind of dig into something else. So before we dig into the creatures, let's look at Breya. So Breya Ethereum Shaper, 4-drop. Every color stands green. She is a legendary artifact human creature, and when Breya Ethereum Shaper enters the battlefield, you create 2 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. You can pay 2, sack 2 artifacts, and choose one. You can either deal 3 damage to target player or planeswalker, or target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn, or you gain 5 life. So Miss Ma'am is about the flavor. You can take life, you can gain life, you can kill creatures. Like, Breya's cool. I'm a big fan. So
yeah, she seems to do everything, and I love that she herself is also an artifact. I think that's so fun.
I do think that's so fun. Alright, so let's start with creatures. So first of all, I do want to talk about Leonardo da Vinci from the Assassin's Creed set. I think he is a must-add in Breya.
So Leonardo da Vinci is 2 colorless and a blue. You can pay 3 and 2 blue until end of turn. Thopters you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. That's awesome. 2 and a blue to tap it, draw a card, then discard a card. If the discarded card was an artifact card, exile it from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 0/2 Thopter artifact creature with flying in addition to all its other types. Okay, yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, that's gotta go in Breya, right? Like, that makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. Objectively, it's good in Breya.
Okay, so, a creature that I think would be a really good add for this is Crime Novelist. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Crime Novelist and add a red mana. So I know from watching you play that you're building so many tokens and creatures up that you'll sack them for stuff all the time. And then this way, you're going to be getting paid for that on top of getting paid out for sacrificing your creatures for whatever.
Okay, I really like Crime Novelist here. I didn't have that on my list, but I like it. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because Breya does sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
So getting to have that red mana can kind of keep the deck moving, and I like that. Bouncing off, if we want to make a lot of tokens, O'Hare Tuck.
I spelled it so incorrectly that it was like ogre.
So a hair attack, deepest foundation, especially because we're going to be creating so many tokens. So it is a 6-drop legendary creature god with vigilance. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, 3 times that many of those tokens are created instead. And when it dies, you return it to the battlefield tapped and transformed under its owner's control, which it just transforms into Temple of Civilization, which you can tap for a white mana, or you can pay 2 a white and tap it to transform it back into Ohairtalk.
Okay.
I think that is a powerhouse in a token deck. 100%. 100% a powerhouse. Alright. Who was the next one?
Okay, so I have Crystalline Crawler. This one has Converge. Crystalline Crawler enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. You can remove a +1/+1 counter from Crystalline Crawler and add any mana of any color to your mana pool. You can sacrifice it and put a +1/+1 counter on Crystalline Crawler. But it's also just an artifact creature, so it will help with all of those artifact numbers that we have.
Okay. That's really cool. I like it. You could tap 4 colored mana and have 4 1/1 counters on it and then remove those 4. Okay. Okay, I like it. Okay. It's a utility artifact.
Yeah.
That wasn't on my list, but I like it. I think that would work really well here, especially in a 4-colored deck.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay. So it looks like we're kind of looking at token creation and utility artifacts right now. So I'm going to say Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter. So Jan Jansen is a red, white, black. I don't know is that Jeskai? I don't know all the color combinations. I'm still learning them. But
Yeah, I need to get better about those too.
it is a legendary gnome artificer. It has haste. You can tap it, sack an artifact creature to create 2 treasure tokens, or you can tap, sack a non-artifact creature to create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. So I think Jan Jansen's huge for token creation, and pair that with our little token tripler over there, and we'll have 4 treasures. 2. Wait, pair that with our token tripler, and that's 6.
Yeah.
I play Magic because I'm bad at math. I didn't know Magic had so much math in it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I had that one on my list as well, so I think that's a great ad. Got Disciple of the Vault. It is a 1 black for a creature that's a human cleric. Whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may have target opponent lose 1 life. So I have a couple of cards in here that are like that, just little pings. That's how I play Magic a lot personally, is just little pings. And so there's a couple of them in there that are just that.
I like that a lot, especially because you will be sacking so many little artifact token creatures because they see the graveyard first before they just disappear into thin air. So
that is true.
I like that a lot. I think that's really cool. Yeah, I like Disciple of the Vault. So I'm actually going to name 2 here because they kind of go hand in hand, but they pair with Disciple of the Vault. And that's going to be Marionette Apprentice and Marionette Master. Marionette Apprentice is a 1 and a black. It's a 2-drop human artificer creature with Fabricate 1. So when it ETBs, you put a 1/1 counter on it or create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. And whenever another artifact creature whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So it essentially is a little bit more of an expensive Disciple of the Vault, but you can also get something out of it with the Fabricate, so it makes it a little bit worth it in my opinion. And then Marionette Master is a 6-drop. It's a little bit expensive, but it has Fabricate 3, so it enters with either 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or you get 3 servo artifact creature tokens, which if we have our tripler out, that's 9.
Yeah.
That is 9 servo tokens. That's a lot.
That was good math.
Thought about it for a long time before I said it. So she reads, so whenever an artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So yeah, so you could make her kind of beefy with that Fabricate. Instead of getting the 9 tokens, you could Fabricate 3, make her a 4/6.
Yeah, or a
Make it
10.
gross.
something. 10 something gross. 10.
Yeah, you could make it real gross.
Oh.
Yeah. And then start
Yeah,
just sacking tokens left and right. That's beautiful. I'm a big fan of that.
Those are great ads. You're gonna know this one. Everyone knows this one. The Dockside Extortionist. That one is 1 and a red, and it's a creature that's a goblin pirate. When Dockside Extortionist enters the battlefield, create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. So this one is like reliant on some of your opponents, but I've also played against some decks that like have an insane amount of tokens, and so I think that this one is pretty fun to add.
I can agree with that.
Can also be one that could be cut later, but I feel like just if you're thinking about tokens and stuff, I instantly think of Dockside.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree with that. Especially if you're playing, I think this is one of those ads that whenever you look at the current meta of just Magic in general, we are leading into a very enchantment artifact heavy kind of situation. Especially a lot of the creatures that I've seen in Bloomburrow and with Dustmore coming out are enchantment or artifact creatures. So I think there's something to be said about putting Dockside in here. I don't hate the idea, especially because if we have our token tripler out, could you imagine? Could you imagine having the token tripler out and playing a Dockside? Even if it's 2, you get 6. You know what I mean? Like, it's just objectively good.
God.
It's just good.
Dude, it's such a scary card. It's such a good card. Like, such a scary good card. Like, you thought doubling season was bad? What about tripling season, bitch? Like...
Okay, let's look at some utility creatures. So, card draw, things like that, cost reduction, those kind of creatures. So, I'm going to say Esper Sentinel. Esper Sentinel, most people know it, but just in case, it is a 1-drop. It is an artifact creature human soldier, and whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. So it's just some card draw when people are playing their mana rocks and things like that, and it's a good turn 1 card, I think. I think if you have Esper Sentinel turn 1, you're automatically putting yourself at an advantage because, mana rocks, enchantments, artifacts, things like that, and I think it's really important to get that card draw.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a really good one. Oh my gosh. And like, especially in the beginning, no one is going to pay anything. They don't have the mana to do anything. So like, the earlier you can get that out, the more value you're going to be able to draw from it, which is awesome. Like,
I'm going to drop
awesome.
a turn 1 Soul Ring, and I can't pay Esper on it because I paid to use my 1 open mana to play the Soul Ring.
Yeah, right.
Sucks for you.
Oop, oop. I think a utility creature that would be good in this deck would also be the Shimmer Mirror. Right? It's a classic 3 colorless artifact creature that's a mirror. It has flash, and then you may cast artifact spells as though they had flash, which is
huge.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, I am gonna say Ethereum Sculptor. Yeah, the Ethereum Sculptor is 1 in a blue. It is an artifact creature of a Dalkin Artificer, and artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast.
Oh, and it looks awesome. Whoa.
Cost reduction is huge in artifact decks because some artifacts are just so expensive.
That is true. Speaking of cost reductions, one that I have in here that I think you're pretty familiar with is Urza, Chief Artificer. Oh, your boy. It is 3 colors. Your little bait. He's so cute too, and this is like the best outfit. Like the other one, he's like a hot man, and then this one, he's like, I'm just a little guy. He is 3 colorless, a white, a blue, and a black, a legendary creature that is a human artificer with an affinity for artifact creatures. This spell costs 1 colorless less to cast for each artifact creature you control. And then artifact creatures you control have menace, and at the beginning of your end step, you can create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature with, or token with This creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So he's a little cheaper, and then you can make him make something really, really big, which is nice.
You can make some beefy boys, and I think that's super exciting. Okay, so continuing with our theme of token creation, I think you also recognize this card because I do also play this in my Urza deck. I'm going to say Psy Master Thopterist. Psy Master Thopterist is 2 and a blue. It is a legendary creature human artificer. It has whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. You can pay 1 and a blue and oh, there's a fly. You can pay 1 and a blue, sacrifice 2 artifacts, and draw a card.
Yeah, that's a good one. Ooh, okay. Going along with that, this card, I'm gonna know I'm jaded when this card no longer makes me giggle every time I say it.
Is it Sharding Sphinx? It is, isn't it?
It fucking is. Are you kidding me? So yeah, Sharding Sphinx. It's a great card, but it's so silly. God, it's so silly. It's 4 colorless and 2 blue. It's an artifact creature that is a Sphinx, has flying, and whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may create a 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature token with flying. So
beautiful. Just a sharding guy, you know. So speaking of silly little guys,
worst. Yeah.
Speaking of silly little guys, I have to mention, isn't an artifact deck if you don't put the scariest 1/1 in the game in the deck, it has to be a Baleful Strix.
Oh my god. Yeah, you gotta put the Baleful Strix in. Oh my, what a beautiful card too.
Yeah, it's Dimir, so a blue and a black. It is an artifact creature bird with flying and death touch, and when it ETBs, you draw a card. And it's so pretty.
Love it. God,
It's so
I love the
pretty.
card draw, and it's just so intricate too. Like, ooh. One card that is like in a lot of the combos that I came across from the spellbook was the Eldrazi Displacer. Okay, so the Eldrazi Displacer is 2 colorless and a white. It's a creature that is an Eldrazi and is devoid. This card has no color. You can pay 2 and a colorless to exile another target creature, then return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. And
That's super interesting because we were just talking about blinking it. Like, we were just talking about a Breya blink deck, so this is definitely a blink effect. And I like that because Breya does have a few combos that are infinite mana combos.
yeah,
So
that
we
is
could
true.
Dump the infinite mana into blinking her infinitely, creating tokens, which brings me to my next card. Mirkwood Bats?
Mirkwood Bats. Yep, that's on my
Mirkwood
list too.
Bats. Because if we infinitely blink her, and she ETBs, creates the 2 Thopters, that's 2 damage to everyone. And then whenever you sack things, that's another damage to everyone. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and if we have the
that's a
token
good
tripler
one.
out,
Well, then
that's everyone's
disgusting,
dead.
dude.
That's good night, queens. We're donezo.
Oh my god. If you can't afford the O'Hare tech, then you could go for the we've got O'Hare tech at home and do Mondrak, Glory Dominus.
Oh,
That is 2 colorless and 2 white, a legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. 1 and then 2 Phyrexian mana, sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures, put an indestructible counter on Mondrak. So that one's pretty gross too.
that is pretty gross. Would this be an artifact deck if we did not have Mirror Battlesphere?
No.
Mirror Battlesphere is 7 generic mana. It is an artifact creature mirror construct. When it ETBs, you create 4 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens, unless you have any of our doublers and triplers out to make more. When it attacks, you may tap X untap mirror you control. If you do, Mirror Battlesphere gets +X/+0 until the end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. It is disgusting. It is the most disgusting card. It is disgusting. It is upsettingly disgusting.
That's a gotta get rid of it as soon as I see it come out.
Absolutely
card.
not. Leave it alone.
It's like, well, it's over. That's over. We talk about Ohertak and Mondrak. No, the Mere Bathysphere comes out, or the Thopter Emporium, or whatever the hell one you have that just
whatever the hell you have.
Let's see. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name correctly, but Jahoria, the Weatherlight Captain, is a really good one. Joyra. Oh, that's way better. That sounds way better anyway.
That's also on my list. I think that's... Joyra's great.
Hell yeah. That makes me feel good. Yeah. She's a 2 colorless blue and red legendary creature that is another human artificer. Whenever you cast a historic spell, you draw a card, and that includes artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. And I almost read the next part, but that was just the flavor text.
So I am looking at my list, and I think something I still would add is Enthusiastic Mechanaut. It is in the Izzet color scheme. It is a red and a blue. It's an artifact creature goblin artificer. It is flying, and artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So it's just a little cost reduction, but it is also just a little guy.
Literally, look how happy he is. He's so proud, dude. Yes. Yes, in every deck, yes, absolutely. Oh my god. So I have Ingenious Artillerist. It's 2 and a red. It's fine. It is 2 and a red. It's a creature that is another human artificer. Whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, you Ingenious Artillerist deals that much damage to each opponent. So that one can get pretty nasty later on too.
Yeah, that sounds like it can get pretty nasty, especially if you're creating a bunch of artifact tokens and. Ugh. That's like if Urza's on the battlefield and you're creating, that's like at least 1 damage every turn with the constructs. It's disgusting. Okay, I am going to say Arbaz Mir. It is a red-white legendary human assassin creature. It's from the Assassin's Creed set. Whenever Arbaz Mir or another non-token historic permanent ETBs under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life.
Ooh, I love that. I love that one where you get to gain the life back. Like, oh. Yep, that was a good one. That's definitely a good one in there for sure. Oh, I have the other Urza, and maybe not in the beginning, but he's gonna be. I think he'd be pretty good later on. But Urza Lord High Artificer is 2 colorless and 2 blue, legendary creature that is a human artificer. When Urza Lord High Artificer enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. You can tap an untapped artifact you control and add blue. And for 5, you can shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until the end of turn, you can play that card without paying its mana cost.
I am going to go with Emery, Lurker of the Loch.
Okay, that card looks very sick.
So, Emery, Lurker of the Loch is a legendary merfolk wizard creature. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control, so it is essentially like Affinity. When it ETBs, you mill 4 cards, and then you can tap it and choose a target artifact card in your graveyard to cast it this turn. So just a way for a little bit of recursion, and also just some milling to kind of get through your deck a little bit.
Yeah, and it looks good, and that's a good card. That's a good card.
I agree. It is a good card.
I have the Reckless Fireweaver, but it's spelled R-E-C-K, which I thought Reckless was spelled W-R-E-C-K, so that one threw me off. But this is one colorless and a red. It is a creature that's a human artificer. When an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Reckless Fireweaver deals 1 damage to each opponent, which is cool.
Hell yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I am going to go Padim, Console of Innovation. So Padim, Console of Innovation is a 4-drop 3 and a blue. It's a legendary Vidalcan Artificer creature. Artifacts you control have hexproof. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest mana value or tied for the highest mana value, you draw a card. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's awesome. He looks awesome. The flavor text impressed me. Like, the whole thing is so good.
I'm a fan. Absolutely a fan. Because Mere Battlesphere is an artifact, you know what I mean? And that's a 7-drop, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's awesome, dude.
And with the right cards, you can get that out super early. Like, I think the earliest I've ever gotten Mere Battlesphere, I was like turn 3.
That's disgusting. Who are you, dude?
An artifact player.
And a damn good one, too.
Thanks. Okay, who you got?
Oh my god. My last one is I just moved my list. Oh, Master Transmuter. This one is a 3 and blue, an artifact creature that is a human artificer. You can pay a blue and tap it to return an artifact you control to your owner's hand. You may put an artifact from your hand onto the battlefield. So you can do the same one, or you can blink them out, or like switch them out. So I thought that one seemed like it could be kind of fun, because while there isn't a lot of blinking, some of the ETBs are pretty good for this. So,
which also, if there's any artifacts that have ETB effects, you could tap it, return it, and then put that same artifact back onto the battlefield, because it doesn't say another artifact, it just says you may put an artifact card, which I think is really neat. Ew, yeah, you can Mirror Battlesphere, like Mirror Battlesphere twice. Oh, that's silly. That's silly. And if the token tripler
I was
is
just
out,
thinking.
Okay.
It's too much.
I have one more, and it is Refurbished Familiar. So, Refurbished Familiar is a 4-drop artifact creature zombie rat. It has affinity for artifacts, flying, and when it ETBs, each opponent discards a card. For each opponent who can't, you draw a card. So, once everyone dumps their hands,
you get to get even more.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good ad.
Okay, before we move on to instants and sorceries, let's talk about planeswalkers, because I noticed it in your list that I was picking out on Moxfield. I noticed that you had a different planeswalker than the planeswalker I would pick. So I want to hear your planeswalker, and we'll add them both, and then we can look at them and see.
Okay. I can tell you that I added this planeswalker directly from one of these combos. So, I have Kaya the Geist Hunter. She is 1, a white and a black, a legendary planeswalker, Kaya. And for +1 creatures you control gain Death Touch until the end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature token you control. -2, wait until end of turn. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. So that's pretty sweet. And then -6, exile all cards from all graveyards, then create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying for each card exiled that way.
Ugh,
So both of those are pretty sick.
So when I was thinking about planeswalkers for artifacts, there was one that came to mind. And I feel like if I'm gonna run artifacts, I have to put him in, and that's Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge.
Oh, your favorite.
My favorite. So Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge is my favorite Magic card of all time. It's my favorite planeswalker of all time. I love him. I think he's wonderful. I was thinking more in the way of like passive damage and things like that. So Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge is a 4 blue black. So he is Dimir. He's a legendary planeswalker Tezzeret. what I like about it is the passive ability. So creature and planeswalker spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. So my artifacts, or like the artifact tokens that we're creating, can help us cast all of our spells if Tezzeret is out. So the cost is significantly cheaper because I think our curve is a little high right now, which is something that we can obviously look at and refine. But with Tezzeret, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. It wouldn't be that big of a hassle. So you can +2 him, and Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge, deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of artifacts you control. You gain X life. You can -3 him, return target artifact creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or you can -8 and exile the top 10 cards of your library, put all artifact creature cards from among them onto the battlefield. So, I'm sorry, put all artifact cards from among them onto the battlefield. I have never ulted Tezzeret. I've never needed to. I think Tezzeret in himself is a win con in artifact decks because you can +2 him and just dust people. Like, it's insane. Especially if we're running a bunch of artifact tokens like Thopters and we're running, constructs, things like that. We are making those every single turn. We are making them bigger. We are swinging with them and sacrificing them, and that's really cool. But if we can't do those things, Tezzeret is a great backup win con for like, okay, I have 37 artifacts, so everyone takes 37 and I gain 37 life. That's actually happened to me before, and it's insane. It's wild. Like, Tezzeret is insane, and no one ever sees him coming either. So that's why I picked Tezzeret. It's just, I think giving everything affinity for artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers, giving those things affinity for artifacts is really big, especially in a creature-focused artifact deck. I could talk about Tezzeret.
Yeah.
I could have a podcast just about Tezzeret. And I would have 100 episodes where I'm still talking about it.
I'd listen to them. I bet they'd be great, dude.
Oh, thanks, man. Okay, let's talk through instants. So I have access denied to Fairy's Protection and Dovin's Veto. So access denied is a 5-drop. You counter target spell, create X/1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying, where X is that spell's mana value. It is a little bit of an expensive instant. It doesn't feel good, but with something like Urza, if we had Urza out and we could tap our artifacts for mana, then we could cast this a lot easier. But the payoff, I think, is the colorless Thopter artifact creature token. Dovin's Veto is an Azorius, so it's white-blue. It is an instant. The spell can't be countered and counter target non-creature spells, so we can counter artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers, things like that.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
Teferi's Protection, that's 2 and a white. Everyone knows what it does, but I'll read it anyway. Until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out, and then you exile Teferi's Protection.
I've seen that save so many people. It's coming at the 11th hour, just a little put it there.
It never fails. Anytime someone's like, "I'm gonna cast Tough Bro," I'm like, I hate you. I actually hate you. I swung out and I hate you. I was trying to kill everyone and I killed everyone but you, and now you're gonna win because you're an asshole.
Just come out all fresh. Oh my god, how was the battle, guys? Did you have a good time? I'm just phasing back in.
I'm just coming back in for a little nap. Alright, hit me with your 3.
Okay, I have the Deadly Dispute, Path to Exile, and Swan Song. So Deadly Dispute is 1 and a black. It's an instant, and as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. So that's going to like tie into the sacrificing artifacts that we have. And then draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. So just the card draw, and then also creating the treasure token. If we have the doublers out, it just feels like a nice little, I'm not going to hurt anyone this time, but you just get a bunch of stuff for it, I feel.
Yeah, of course. And then you and your freaking Path to Exile. You love these cards.
I have to add it in every deck. It's just 1 white. It's so cheap. It's just 1 white. It doesn't get any cheaper. Like, it's so nasty. It's an instant that exiles a target creature. Its controller may search their library for a basic land, so like they get something too. It's like wonderful. Then put that card onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. So that one's self-explanatory. Just bye, you know? And then this one is like just as great. It's the Swan Song is 1 blue, an instant, counter a target enchantment, instant, or sorcery. Its controller puts a 2/2 blue creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So take care of a problem, they get a present, everyone loves it. I think those are all great.
They get a present, everything's fine. Okay.
No one is mad.
Everyone's mad. What do you mean?
No.
Okay, so I added Dispatch, Counterspell, and Whir of Innovation. So Dispatch is 1 white, and you can tap target creature, but it has Metalcraft. So if you control 3 or more artifacts, exile that creature. Big fan of that.
Ooh,
And then,
that one's good.
I want to take a beat to talk about Counterspell, because Counterspell is 2 blue, and it says counter target spell. Do you think Counterspell is worth it, or would you prefer, like, would you rather put in a mana drain instead?
Okay, value-wise, mana drain. I think that's awesome that you get the mana back. Personally, I would do a counter spell because I would forget that I would get that mana back, and I would just miss that trigger, but that is awesome. I think mana drain is objectively a better card.
I agree. I think mana drain is a better card. I think I'm gonna add it just for funsies, because why not have both?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like coming into a big turn and having just that little bit of extra colorless mana to do something with. That's nice.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I know that I need to come up with a system. I know I would forget that.
I usually put like a little dice, because usually it's not more. I think the highest total I've ever been able to counter was 6. So I just put like a little die with like a 6 like on top of my deck, so whenever I draw my card, I know that I have that.
It's there. Ooh, that's smart. That's a good one.
So I also added Whir of Innovation. It is X and 3 blue. It is an instant, and it has Improvise, which means you can tap your artifacts to help cast a spell. You can search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library.
Ooh.
So this is one of those go get your win con cards, if your win con is, of course, an artifact.
Which in this deck it probably is.
We'll talk about it in a minute. Alright, let's move on to sorceries. Okay, so I added Fabricate, Demonic Tutor, and Thoughtcast. So Demonic Tutor, 1 and a black, you can search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. Fabricate is a 2 and a blue. It's a sorcery card that says search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. And then Thoughtcast is 4 and a blue. It has affinity for artifacts, and it just has draw 2 cards. So you can essentially just pay 1 blue and draw 2 cards if you have your mana rocks out.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome. I love the art on that one, too. I don't know if I've seen Thoughtcast before. I have Savini's Reclamation.
Savini's Reclamation.
Yeah, yep, that's the one. So that is 2 and a white. It's a sorcery. Return target permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If this spell was cast from the graveyard, you may copy this spell and may choose a new target for that copy. It also has flashback, which is 4 colorless and white. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it.
Very cool. That essentially is like 2 graveyard recursions right there.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I added Organic Extinction, Wake the Past, and their name is Death. Organic Extinction is a 10-drop. It is a board wipe. It is a sorcery with Improvise, so you can tap your artifacts to help you do this, though I would recommend tapping artifacts like Mana Rocks or small creatures that aren't going to make a big impact with swinging, because I think this is a card where after you destroy all non-artifact creatures, you're going to want to have some creatures up to swing, so I made the mistake before of tapping my artifact creatures to cast this and ended up losing the game because I didn't have enough to actually like swing out with.
Oh.
So, their name is Death is essentially just a little bit of a cheaper version of that. However, it does not have Improvise, so it is a 6-drop destroy all non-artifact creature. So there's 2 potential board wipes. And then Wake the Past is a 7-drop that says return all artifact cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn.
Oh my god, dude. Oh, that's such a cool name for such a cool, like, it is perfect for what it does. Wake the Past. Like, those are great ads.
Yeah,
Oh
dude.
my god.
All right, let's move to enchantment.
All right, I have Anointed Procession. Intruder Alarm, Light of Promise. Anointed Procession is 3 colorless and a white. It's an enchantment, and if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many tokens instead. So, just going back to the doublers, the triplers, just in case 1 or 2 of them gets knocked out, we got Plan C right here.
Tat gets path exiled. I'm so upset about the game. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. It's all he's. I'm sorry. I don't mean that I love you.
Everyone's like, God, they like act like they're friends, but they hate each other. They have to.
Hate each other. That's the gag. We don't actually talk outside of making videos.
Yeah. I'm gonna like leave this and like put up a wall. You're good. Intruder Alarm is 2 and blue. Its creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. So,
how festive.
And then we have Light of Promise, which is 2 and a white. It's an enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever you gain life, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. So, with a lot of the lifelink stuff we have, we can make some things get kind of gross with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we definitely could. Okay, I added Smothering Tithe and Mirrodin Besieged. So, Smothering Tithe is a 4-drop. It's 3 generic and a white. It is an enchantment. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you create a treasure token, just some mana. And then Mirrodin Besieged is it can either be a win con, or it can just be a way to get more artifacts. So I think if you're running Mirror Battlesphere and you're relying on that for damage, I think Mirrodin Besieged is great. I think if you're playing Graveyard Artifacts, Mirrodin Besieged is great. I just really like Mirrodin Besieged, and I run it in my Urza deck, and I've always had a lot of fun with it, no matter which option I picked. So it is a 2 generic and a blue 3-drop enchantment. And as Mirrodin Besieged enters the battlefield, choose Mirren or Phyrexian. So Mirren says, whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token. Which is awesome for Mirror Battlesphere, because you can have a lot more mirror to tap to deal that passive damage and make it bigger to swing with. Or you can choose Phyrexian, which says, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then discard a card. Then, if there are 15 or more artifact cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game.
Okay.
I won a game like this. I won a game like this by board wiping myself, and then I was like,
Okay, so Sun Bond is 3 colorless and a white. It's enchant creature. It's enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever you gain life, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. So it's a lot like the Light of Promise. Just another, you get the life, you make your creatures beefier, and then you murder people with them.
I'm a fan. I like it. Fun. Okay, so my last 2 are Efficient Construction and Tempered Steel. So, Efficient Construction is a 4-drop enchantment. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. So, again, it's just Thopter generation. And then, Tempered Steel is a 3-drop. It's 1 and 2 white. It's an enchantment that says artifact creatures you control get +2/+2. Just make them a little beefier.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Why
not? Oh, that's perfect.
Let's move on to artifacts. So my first one is Idol of Oblivion. So Idol of Oblivion is a 2-drop artifact. You can tap it to draw a card, activate only if you created a token this turn. So with our token generation, this is huge because it also gives us some card draw. Or you can pay 8, tap and sack it to create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. I don't really think that text is relevant in this specific deck. I think what we really care about is that top ability with the card draw.
Yeah. But if you got enough out and you could sack, oh my gosh, that would be free? A free Eldrazi? Hello? Oh, that's awesome. my first one is Ashnod's Altar. Ashnod's Altar is 3 colorless. It's an artifact 0. You can sacrifice a creature to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Play this ability as an interrupt. So, love that mana.
Love Ashnod's Altar. Big fan. So, I think if we're running Mirror Battlesphere and we are making Mirror with our enchantments with Mirrored and Besieged, I think Mirror Turbine only makes sense. It is a 5-drop artifact, and you can tap it to put a 1/1 colorless Mirror artifact creature token onto the battlefield, or you can tap it and tap 5 untapped Mirror you control, search your library for a Mirror creature card, put it into the battlefield, and shuffle your library. So this is essentially just a tutor for Mirror Battlesphere, because we're not really running any Mirror creatures. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna tap 5 and pay this, and I'm gonna go look for some Mirror. Oh no, I only have one Mirror Battlesphere.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh heck! What am I ever gonna do? Yeah, this is also a great game plan if like you're not really drawn into some of the pieces that you need. This is a great, if you have this in your opening hand and you decide to keep it because you have some fast mana, like a Soul Ring or a Signet or, you know, a Talisman, anything of that nature, I think this is a really great card to have.
Yeah. Oh, and it makes so many, especially when you get the doublers, triplers. It just, oop. Oh no, I made 27. Oh god. Oh dang.
Oops.
Like,
I hate. Sorry.
I need 20 D20s to count how many little guys I've got.
And then I play Tezzeret. And I'm gonna +2 him. And everyone dies. Because I have 175 million trillion artifacts.
I have the animation module. So animation module is 1 colorless, and whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are placed on a permanent you control, you can pay 1. If you do, you can create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. You can pay 3 and then tap it to choose a counter on a target permanent or player. Give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. So you can either do extra or you can do a little proliferate. So I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a fan. So Thopter Shop is a 3-drop artifact, and it says whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, which is great if we're paying into Breya or if we're sacking things to Ashnod's Altar. Once per turn, we get to draw an extra card. That's pretty nice. So 2 and a white, tap it to create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Again, one of those situations where if I have this in my opening hand and I don't have any other token generators or artifacts or things that are going to help me get, you know, my commander out or other pieces out, then I will play this and make some artifacts. Like, it's 3 mana, and then you get 3 mana to tap it to create more Thopters. So, I think it's cool. I like it. Objectively, I'd say it's pretty good.
Definitely have to make that sticker. I have it on the list. Clock of Omens. So, Clock of Omens is 4 colorless, and you can tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to untap a target artifact. So, that one is pretty cool. If there's like some of the tap, just keep going with that, especially if you have a bunch of artifacts, a bunch of little babies out there, you can just...
But you can untap something that makes you tap things to do other things. Like, you could tap... you could untap, like, Idol of Oblivion and draw another card.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Or
I like that.
Or you could untap Mirror Turbine, put another Mirror on the battlefield. Or you could untap Thopter Shop, put another Thopter on the battlefield. Like, I think this is a good ad. I agree with this ad. Okay, I'm gonna add Cranial Plating. Cranial Plating is a 2-drop artifact equipment. It has equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. You can pay 2 black and attach Cranial Plating to target creature you control, or it has an equip 1 cost. So, there is, I learned, a difference between the attach and the equip costs. So, attach you can do at instant speed, equip you can do at sorcery. So, if someone was swinging at me, or... because it gets +1/+0, so if someone was trying to, like, give my stuff, I don't know. I don't know why I would attach it mid, like, combat or something. Other than...
maybe something got killed and it fell off, and then
like,
you're like, well, I'm gonna attach it to this really fast.
Or, like, on declare blocks, I'm gonna make this beefy and hit you with it. Sorry. I'm gonna kill that creature.
Okay, I have the Detective Satchel. It looks cool. It is cool. I'm pretty excited about it. It's 2 and is it? Is that what that color is come?
I don't know, is it? Sorry.
No, that was perfect.
It's a poor taste, sorry.
Oh my god. When Detective Satchel enters the battlefield, you can investigate twice. To investigate, create a clue token. It's an artifact with 2 and sacrifice this artifact to draw a card. You can tap it and create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. And activate this only if you've sacrificed an artifact this turn. But I assume we'll be sacrificing artifacts almost every turn. Just get a free one. So.
Mm-hmm. And it's like getting it back.
Yeah.
It's like you sack a Thopter, get it back. You know, it's like you're not really missing anything. You're not really netting anything. But I mean, unless you have your token triplers out. Then you're netting things. My ad is going to be Simulacrum Synthesizer. Yeah, Simulacrum Synthesizer is from the Vault from Thunder Junction. So it is a 3-drop, 2 and a blue artifact. When it ETBs, you scry 2, and whenever another artifact with mana value 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control.
I understand why you get so sad when the Harpy middles this.
It's objectively good.
It is.
And the Harpy
Objectively,
is objectively bad.
I don't think so. She's beautiful
No,
and wonderful.
It's not. It just gets sad. All right, you're up.
Dude, it like gets you nasty bad. Like I've seen it mill other people, and it's always like your favorite card, and then your actual favorite card that you didn't realize you actually loved more than y'all love. Like I don't know, for some reason it attacks you like personally,
It really
and
does.
I don't.
It makes it like it's never milled my Tezzeret, but if it did, I think I would actually quit the game. You're like, you know what? You win. I'm out. I'm leaving.
I hate this game. I'm gonna start playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
I need like 2 hours of alone time, and I'll be back to say I'm sorry for being a brat. But in this moment,
I'm not like valid. Karak Clan Ironworks. Krak dash. Krak Clan Ironworks. It's 4-drop. You sacrifice an artifact and you get to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool, which is awesome. So that one's self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's like a cheaper, it's like a more expensive Ashnod's Altar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go Unwinding Clock. So Unwinding Clock is a 4-drop artifact, and it says untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. So it effectively makes swinging out with your artifact creatures safe.
That's a good one. Nim Deathmantle is the one that I have next. So Nim Deathmantle is a 2 colorless. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has Intimidate, and is a black zombie. Whenever a non-token creature is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, you can return that card to the battlefield and attach Nim Deathmantle to it, and the equip cost is 4 colorless.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, so my next one is Mystic Forge. So Mystic Forge is a 4-drop artifact. It says you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library. You can tap, pay 1, exile the top card of your library. So it's a good way to kind of filter through your deck.
That is really nice.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's spells or colorless, like artifact spells or colorless spell, that's really nice. Normally it's just one thing, nice. So.
Yeah.
I have the Phyrexian Altar. So Phyrexian Altar is 3 colorless, and you sacrifice a creature and add 1 mana of any color. So that one's awesome.
Easy peasy. Okay. My next ones are all of the talismans, just for some mana. So it's 6 talismans. That's a lot of art. We have 20 artifacts right now, which is insane. But those are huge in getting some colored mana out, and also I think they're worth it.
Yeah, and to get the two options is such a nice thing when you find yourself in particular mana screwed situations or like mana drought. Like that can save you as or for red. Oh yeah, there you go. I can actually do this, which will turn into that, and it can like really knock your stuff off, which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So time sieve. It's a blue and a black, and if you tap it, you can sacrifice 5 artifacts and take an extra turn after this one. So, love that.
Cool. Okay, so before we move on to mana base, let's talk through our combo pieces and win cons, because I think there's some cards that we didn't add just off rip talking about it, that we could add, or that we should add if we want, of course, the combos. So there's one combo with Thopter Foundry and Sword of the Meek with Ashnod's Altar. So we do have Ashnod's Altar, which you can pay a white and a black, or a white or a black and a blue, and it's an artifact. You can pay 1, sack a non-token artifact to create a Thopter. You gain 1 life. Sword of the Meek is a 2-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+2, and it has an equip 2 cost. Whenever a 1/1 creature ETB is under your control, you may return Sword of the Meek from your graveyard to the battlefield, then attach it to that creature. With Thopter Foundry, you pay 1, you sack Sword of the Meek, it sees itself entered the battle. Wait, you create the 1/1 Thopter, Sword of the Meek triggers, you return it from the graveyard to the battlefield, and then you pay 1, it repeats. It's a process, it's a loop. Then we have one with Breya, Nim Deathmantle, and Ashnod's Altar, which we have, and then there's Thopter Foundry, Time Sieve, and Sword of the Meek. So I know that the one with Time Sieve is an extra turns combo. And then Breya, Nim Deathmantle, and Ashnod's Altar is the infinite mana, so you...
Oh.
Yeah. Before we dig straight into the mana base, I think we should add our Soul Ring and Arcane Signet.
You know, those ones that go without saying.
So I did not personally dig too much into mana base when I was looking at these. So if you want to take lead on this, that's cool with me, just because mana base obviously has never been my strong suit in Magic.
Sure.
So our curve is 3.21, so we have a lot of permanents with mana value 2, 3, 4. And most of our deck is blue. It's blue or colorless. So it's blue, then white, then black, then red. Well, actually it's blue, then colorless, then white, then black, then red. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix, and with the red, it's like so small. Yeah. That I don't know if it would be a better idea to I don't know. I think that with what we're trying to do, we've got the right combo. I almost would say that should we beef up more red since it's only such a small percent, but I think that with what we're doing, we've got like the focus on creating all of those artifacts and stuff like that, and that's what we're focusing on, and not so much dealing a lot of angry damage, which I think red is more focused on.
I agree. So I think we add 4 red basics, because we do have talismans that tap 4 red. So I think we add 4 red basics just off rip.
Okay.
I'm thinking probably...
Yeah, I just did 5 of everything right off so that I knew that I had more than 1 and we could pull out if we needed to.
Yeah, I think 4 red, 5 swamp, and then a little bit more blue and white.
Oh, you're right, because we have so many more.
So maybe 7 blue, 7 plains.
Okay.
Or maybe we do just 6 plains, 6 islands, 4 mountains, 5 swamps, which gives us a deck that... So that gives us 21 lands, which we still need more lands. I think 21 is a little bit too light to run here. I think we need to be looking at about 35, which means we're going to have a lot to trim of the actual deck. But I think that's okay. I don't think that's bad. I think we can kind of go through and refine it. So, I think we add some fetches.
Yes, definitely. When it comes to fetches, I have Arid Mesa. The Arid Mesa, the Bloodstained Mire.
Okay, we're on 34 lands. That feels pretty good. So we have 117 cards in the deck, which means we need to go through and kind of trim some out. I think we can start with the creatures and kind of see what's working and what isn't.
Okay.
So I think we could remove Refurbished Familiar. I think making opponents discard stuff isn't something that we are doing a lot of.
That makes sense.
Even though it is card draw, I still think we remove it. And I also think I'm going to vote that we remove Marionette Master because we have Marionette Apprentice. And I think there's a type of recursion between Marionette Apprentice and Disciple of the Vault that works really well together. But I think Marionette Master, it's good. I just don't think we need it. And I think it's a little bit too expensive and it's affecting our curve.
Yeah, it's super expensive. I definitely agree with you. I think that the Apprentice is going to do great. So I think that the Dockside Extortionist can go.
Okay.
And Jan Jansen is great if we need to cut him eventually, maybe, because I do like that he makes things, but I think there are other cards.
Yeah.
I think most of our cards do more.
Yeah,
than
I think we
him.
move him to the sideboard.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And like he's a maybe card, I think. I think Crystalline Crawler can also go to the sideboard. Because we do have a lot of mana rocks, and we do have a lot of mana just in general.
That is true.
So I think we just sideboard it, and we can bring it back if we see we need it. Okay, that's 25 creatures. I think that's good for now. Unless you see any that you think don't really synergize well together, or like one that just stands out.
No. I think that pulled out the ones that were like glaring in my face, which was mostly just Dockside.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at sorceries. So I think all of our sorceries are good. I think their name is Death can be taken out because we do have Organic Extinction. And I think Organic Extinction is just objectively better because you can use your artifacts to cast it. So in reality, you could be paying maybe like a Soul Ring and 2 white instead of paying 10 mana.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah, I think Savines is good to keep because if something gets wiped or gets put in the graveyard, then it feels bad. Okay, instance.
Oh,
I like all the instance.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing I can think of is if we needed to take one out would be counter spell. Like if we have to trim down to get to 100 and we have to, just because we have mana drain already. But other than that, I think that we did pretty good with the instance.
Yeah, because it's not heavy on the counter magic, but there's enough removal and things where if we need to get rid of something, we can. I think the biggest trimming is going to be our artifacts, honestly.
Yeah.
So obviously we have a couple of artifacts like Ashnod's, Nim Death Mantle. We have Ironworks, Sword of the Meek, Thopter Foundry, Time Sieve. Those are all cards that are our combo pieces, so we don't want to get rid of those.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's nothing else in the deck that's boosting things like Cranial Plating, so I think we could sideboard that. It has come in handy for me, I will say. But that doesn't mean that it's useful here.
Okay. I'm down to sideboard it and keep it around because it is such a good card, but
yeah. I think Animation Module can also be sideboarded.
Okay.
Because we're not placing that many 1/1 counters on things. We have more of like a token creation than a token beefer kind of vibe going on.
Yeah, we're going numbers, not strength.
Yeah, so I think we sideboard that. Do you see anything that just stands out to you that we could sideboard or get rid of?
The only thing that like the Mystic Forge is good, but if we're going to be focusing on creating, I can see how it could be helpful, but if we're having to cut things back, that's the one that's like it's a gamble. So that's the only one that I can think of. Okay. Everything else almost has a job.
You can sideboard Mystic Forge. I'd also argue maybe we could sideboard Thopter Shop. It's good. And it is helpful, especially if we have like Idol of Oblivion out and Thopter Shop out, but we don't have any other token generators, because then that lets us draw cards. But you do have to pay into it, and there's definitely been times before where Thopter Shop is just an artifact count because I'm passively making Thopters instead of paying into it. So like it does feel bad to get rid of an artifact, especially an artifact number. But I don't know. I think we sideboard it and revisit it because Thopter Shop is good, especially in Breya, but who knows?
Okay. Yeah.
You can sideboard Thopter Shop. Okay. So our enchantments.
I think that we could do sideboard Anointed Procession because we already have 2 doublers, and it's like, are we really gonna get all 3? And if we do have all 3, do we want to put like? I like it. I love the idea that we have every single multiplier, but I think that is one that could go because it's right there in the middle too of the prices.
Yeah, I agree. I think we could get rid of Intruder Alarm just because letting them not untap, and then we're creating tokens passively at all times. So like during our upkeep we're creating tokens, during our main phase we're creating tokens. So if we're creating tokens, then everyone's stuff is kind of working against itself, I think.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
There are a lot of combos with it, and I like Intruder Alarm. I just think here where we're making it mostly tokens, I think it's gonna work against us instead of with us.
And with that vein, either or both Light of Promise and Sunbound, unless they need to be used for a combo, are just beefing things up instead of adding to them. So,
I think we get rid of one and sideboard the other.
I think we should get rid of Sunbound and
it's the more expensive
sideboard
one.
Light of Promise. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, we're so close.
Oh my gosh, we only need 3 more things to get rid of. So let's visit the Planeswalkers. I personally think we could keep both Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I think they're good. I think they both have a job, and I think they both work really well here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I was like, oh, we have 2 totally different Planeswalkers, I wonder, but they both are going to do such a good job in this deck that I think that they have enough value to stay in.
Yeah, I agree. I think our Bazmir is not going to get as much use as it could because we will be creating so many tokens. So I think we could sideboard that.
Okay.
I think that really hones in all the creatures, you know what I mean? Like, maybe we could even sideboard Leonardo da Vinci. No, I think not.
I think Leonardo da Vinci should stay in, but I think that we could sideboard like Reckless Fireweaver because while it does do 1 damage to each opponent, I think that since we are culling back now, we're going to be making a ton.
I think Reckless
Actually, maybe not.
Because it synergizes really well with like Ingenious Artillerist. That's really good. And then there was another one. But also, whenever we are creating our tokens, Mark 1 Babs is triggering. So we're just passively dealing damage to people. However,
that is
I
true.
think Emery, Lurker of the Law, could be sideboarded.
Yeah, because it only has the ETB instead of...
Yeah, so
that
like,
makes sense.
I like Emery because you can tap it and recur an artifact, but if some of our creatures die, Emery's not going to help us. Like, we're not running a lot of artifact creatures. We're running a lot of artifact token generators. But I think Emery can be moved to the sideboard. We have 1 more that we have to get rid of.
I think
Crime
Novelist.
Crime Novelist?
What were you going to say?
Wait, which one's Crime Novelist?
Just because it's you put a +1/+1 counter and you add a red, but the lowest amount of spells we have is red, so I don't think that, and we have
That's
a few of these
true.
that will do other colors.
And also it's a 3-drop. So it's like a 3-drop and you're only getting a 1/1 counter and 1 red. So sideboarded. Okay.
Sideboarded.
Okay, our Breya deck is together. So we brought our curve down from 3 to 2, which is really exciting.
Ooh.
I think we have a
that
good
looks way
mana
better.
base. Yeah. No, I'm excited. I think this deck is gonna be really cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is the Breya deck tech. Special shout out to our Patreons. Our tier 3 members are Hammy, Ballistic Lex, Sleeves and Dweebs, Douglas Cooksey, Johnny 28 Graham, Milkman Proxies, and Lux and MTG. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon members. We could not keep podding without you. We appreciate you guys directly supporting the pod. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. We will be playing Breya on an upcoming episode. Don't know which one, but one. And we might even come back and revisit it and talk about how it played and redo it
That's a good
or
idea.
upgrade it. Yeah, so
I like that.
catch us next week with another gameplay video and maybe even with Breya, who knows. And yeah, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Sandwich.
We're in GirlPod.
And now you're in GirlPod too.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Girl pod, girl pod. What's up, girl pod? She's in girl pod too.